Hey, it's Antonio. Welcome back to my channel. Who's ready for some fighting words? In this video, I want to do a fight breakdown / prediction for Josh Taylor and Teofimo Lopez. So it looks like Jack Catterall is out due to an injury, and Teofimo Lopez slid into that slot as a result. And this is the fight breakdown. Basically, I take both guys, I put them side by side, I run down a list of attributes, and whoever has more points in the end, that's the individual that I'm going with. Really quickly, if you like the videos, please take the time to subscribe right now if you haven't already done so. If you have recently, I'd like to say welcome to the Fighting Words family. And if you could all please hit that thumbs up button, it truly does help support and further along the prosperity of this channel. So let's jump into this. I'm going to start with something I typically don't start with, Arsenal. This is an easy one. I think we would all agree that it would be Teofimo Lopez, who has a wider range of arsenal, range of weapons in a fight versus Josh Taylor. Teofimo Lopez can basically do everything. I mean, when he's tuned in, I feel like he has all the components of being a great boxer. Purely, just he has all the components. Everything is there. The only thing that might be lacking from time to time is his mental, and that's the only thing that I truly fear when it comes to him. Just stuff going on outside in his personal life. But in terms of his attributes, in terms of his physical abilities, he has it all. He's got the footwork. He's got the great instincts. He's fast. He's got pop in his punches. He doesn't have the same amount of pop that he had prior, but then again, he moved up in weight, so that's not expected. But he still has enough power to get respect and to keep a guy off of him if he needs to. He also can throw good combinations, really solid combinations. He's very accurate when he's punching. There's not a whole lot that the man can't do. But again, everything starts here when it comes to Teofimo Lopez. If this is working and it's operating on a positive scale, then everything else should pretty much, for the most part, be smooth sailing. Experience. You know, this one's interesting because Teofimo Lopez beat Lomachenko. And if for nothing else, and I get a lot of flack on this channel for saying that Lomachenko is the man, and I personally think he is the man. And as long as I'm talking about him, I'm going to talk about him in the right respect. Not everybody has to agree, not everybody has to like it, but that man is something special when it comes to boxing. And he needs to get his just due while he's here and while he's currently active. So with that being said, Teofimo Lopez beat Lomachenko. And he didn't just beat Lomachenko, like he took those belts from Lomachenko. That's respectable. You know, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to try to win by this or I'm going to try to... No, it was a grueling fight and he took it. But on the other hand, you have Josh Taylor who fought Regis Prograis. And at that time, Regis Prograis is hot right now. Like he's still doing his thing. But at that time, he was definitely doing his thing and he was steamrolling guys. And he took it for him. And again, it was another grueling fight. But he took it. So for Teofimo Lopez beating Lomachenko and for Josh Taylor beating Regis Prograis, I'm going to have to give this one a tie. Power. I'm going to go with Josh Taylor. Only because Josh Taylor is much bigger than Teofimo Lopez. Josh Taylor could easily right now fight at 154 pounds. How he makes weight is beyond me. I will never understand it. And he has a real gift. I don't feel the least bit happy for his thyroid in the future, but it's amazing that he can make the weight. I'm going to have to give it to Josh Taylor. Teofimo Lopez, you know, he has power, but I think a lot of his pop also is due to his setups. Walking guys into things, being really spontaneous, wide burst, you know, lunging in, things of that nature. So it's not just the pop in itself, but it's all those little factors that go into that pop. Let's see, speed, Teofimo Lopez. A lot of his game is built around speed. Like I said, those bursts where he could just be kind of just chilling for a moment and then out of nowhere burst out, you know, a shovel hook, you know, just burst out with anything. And he can cover a wide like range of area in doing so. So speed, hands down, it's got to be Teofimo Lopez. He's just as fast with his feet as he is his hands. And he's just as slick with his head movement, with his body movement, with his defense, as he is with his hands. So speed, Teofimo Lopez. Grit. Now, this one's interesting. I'm going to have to also go with a tie because when I look at Teofimo Lopez, I'm reminded of the Kambosos fight. And that was not easy for neither guy. Kambosos put him down. Teo put him down. Teo didn't get the nod that night, but still, it showed a lot of grit and heart because he got put down early, and it showed a lot of grit and heart. Also, we got to go back to the Loma fight. That, like I said, he took the belts from Loma. He beat Loma up and took the belts. So he showed a lot of grit and heart. Regis Prograis fight in regards to Josh Taylor. That was not easy. By any means, that was not easy. And it was a grueling, long, hard fight. And remarkably enough, concerning that fight with Regis Prograis and Josh Taylor, it was the last 3 rounds that were the hardest. And they weren't the hardest like most championship rounds because most guys are tired. I just felt like they were the hardest because they were the most competitive rounds. They really wanted it, and they showed it in those last 3 rounds. Also, I would say the Jack Catterall fight. Now, I personally believe that Jack Catterall won, but listen, one thing I will definitely give Josh Taylor was he was in it. He was mentally and physically in the fight. And do I believe he won? No, I don't believe he won. But I believe he fought his heart out that night. And I believe at no point in the fight did he stop trying to win that fight. So kudos to him for that. So the grit, that's a tie. Footwork, Teofimo Lopez. I mean, I've already went over it earlier, but Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez can fight back and up. Teofimo Lopez can obviously fight side to side, unilateral. He can spin around you. There aren't too many things he can't do. He can dance while he's fighting you. There aren't too many things he can't do. Footwork, he could run circles around Josh Taylor, who's, in terms of footwork, is extremely basic. So Teofimo Lopez. Willpower. So here's my thing, and I brought this up for a reason because I'm going to kind of sum this up in the end. But here's my thing when it comes to the willpower. Again, and I brought up Josh Taylor's biggest shortcoming, which was the Jack Catterall fight. But it did show something about who he is. He literally fought every single round. And he lost that fight. I don't believe on anywhere would anybody outside of those strange judges would score that fight for Josh Taylor. He lost the fight. However, he never stopped trying. Every round was 150%. And if there's nothing else, we got to give him credit for that. We have to give him credit for that. That was not easy. That's not easy physically, and that's not easy mentally. Where his corner's telling him you're losing. Where, Catterall's over there and he's winning, and he knows he's winning. You can tell when somebody believes that they're winning. Their swag is up. You can tell when somebody believes they're winning. And then you have Teofimo Lopez, who, I think this is going to go down whenever somebody mentions him. When he asked after the Martin fight, do I still have it? That's telling. That's a very telling thing. Even though he won, he walked out of there the defeated fighter. Even though he won, he was defeated. Mentally, he was defeated. He was the one sad, even though he was the victor. And that's important because, again, you're fighting a guy who's bigger than you. You're fighting a guy who's a champion. You're fighting a guy who's never lost. You need to be on your A game. If you plan to make this even competitive, you need to be on your A game. And, well, I'll touch that a little bit later. Let's see. Boxing IQ. I think Teofimo Lopez. Again, you're talking about somebody he's young, yes, but a real student of the sport. He is a real. You don't see dudes like him that come around every day. I don't feel like, where he's just naturally gifted. He just naturally gets it. And he's been around. He's sparred a lot of people. He's been in a lot of gyms. He's not one of those guys who was just like a best kept secret in this gym. No, he's been all over the country hanging out in these gyms, sparring guys, testing guys, and being tested by guys. And that says something about him and about his character. Willing to take on all comers. So kudos to him. But I think he's just learned more than Josh Taylor. I think he's, if for nothing else, being in different gyms, sparring different guys, and then just having that natural ability that Teofimo Lopez has, that natural inclination to know when to move, to know when to counter, to just he just knows things instinctively, And there are things in fighting that you just can't teach. Either you have it or you don't. And Teofimo Lopez, when he is tuned in, has it. Pain threshold. So here's the thing with this. Teofimo Lopez can take pain, although he doesn't, like having to do it. His game isn't necessarily geared around accumulating pain. And I don't think anybody is, unless you're, Mickey Ward. I don't think anybody is. But it doesn't help a guy like him who's very spontaneous in the ring, who's very creative in the ring, and is always active in a sense. Maybe not active in the sense of punching in the moment, but he's always active in the sense that, there's a feint, there's something going on that he's trying to do. Even if he's trying to feint you just with his legs, there's something going on that he's trying to do. And if you're bruised, battered, and scarred, you can't effectively do those things that you would like to do to set your opponents up. Then you have Josh Taylor, who's just game for anything. You want to box? Let's box. But I prefer to fight. And that's who he is. That's who he is. He's just a rough, tough, strong dude who doesn't mind getting his hands dirty. That's just who he is. He's just going to be a hard worker. That's what makes a guy like him dangerous. That's what will always make a guy like him dangerous, regardless of who he fights. He's a hard worker who's coming to get it by any means. And he doesn't mind not looking pretty in the process. And then you have a guy like Teofimo Lopez who wants to look pretty in the process. And when you take a guy like that who wants to look pretty in the process and you put him in a blender or you stick him in the mud, he's not going to look so impressive. He's just not. So for that, I got to give it to Josh Taylor. I just have to. Pain threshold. And again, fighting bigger guys as well. Pain threshold. It's got to go to Josh Taylor. The clinch, Josh Taylor. I think this is where he lives. I think this is where he does his best work. And I think this is the place where Teofimo Lopez should want no parts of Josh Taylor. I think this is the most dangerous area in the fight or position in the fight that Teofimo Lopez can find himself. This is where he does not need to be, in the clinch. I think Josh Taylor does his best work in the clinch. I think he did his best work against Regis Prograis in the clinch. And I don't think it will serve Teofimo Lopez well at all if he finds himself in the clinch, and especially if he stays there for too long or he gets complacent in the clinch with Josh Taylor. Creativity. Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez, like I said, I've seen this man dance and fight at the same time. The only other people I've seen doing that is Prince Nassim Hamed and Roy Jones Jr. The dude was dancing. This dude is touching his toes, like he does all kinds of things. And what it does is breaks up the cadence for his opponents. They don't know what's coming next. They know all right, you throw the right hand and you throw the left. They know what's supposed to come next. Statistically, just as a fighter, you know what comes next after that combination or after that punch. But when you have somebody whose creativity is through the roof and the only thing limiting him is himself and he's free in that moment, because that's one thing about Teofimo Lopez. He knows how to find that freedom place, that flow state within himself. And when he's there, it's amazing to watch some of the things that he can do and some of the plays that he can generate against his opponents. Pretty awesome stuff. Now, I'm just going to jump into some things that should not be done and some things that should be done. So, Teo should not fight on the ropes. He did that a lot with Lomachenko. Do not do that. He found himself on the ropes once or twice against Martin. But even with George Kambosos, he was on the ropes a little bit more than I feel like a guy of his caliber should be. This is definitely not the place you need to be against Josh Taylor. He will eat you alive. Period. You're going to be a wounded prey if you hang out on those ropes. Again, do not get complacent trying to hang out on those ropes because it's not going to serve you. Teo should stay on the outside and embarrass Josh Taylor. Why did I use the word embarrass? Because unlike Teofimo Lopez, he has down moments mentally, Josh Taylor has a temper. He is a temper. Now, if you can poke the bear, you can get the bear to dance and do whatever you want him to do. But you need to stay on the outside in order to do it effectively. If you poke the bear and you're on the ropes, or you're in a corner, or you're staying still too long, that's not going to work in your favor. Josh Taylor, again, is going to eat you alive. He's going to slaughter you. But Josh Taylor does have a temper. Staying on the outside and being creative, now he doesn't know what's coming at him. But also, he's not crazy enough just to rush in on anything. Now you can keep him at bay. And again, a guy like Josh Taylor, if you frustrate him by embarrassing him, I promise he'll pretty much do what you want him to do. He will be as predictable as predictable is. I promise you that. Because at some point, he's just going to rush in. And those are good for counters. Those are good for check hooks. Those are good for a lot of things, especially somebody as fast and has great instincts like Teofimo Lopez. That would serve him well. Keep Taylor guessing, which is what I basically just said. Attack the body of Taylor. Taylor doesn't like getting hit in the body. He likes punching people in the body, but he doesn't like receiving body shots too well. And again, I'm not telling Teofimo Lopez to hang out in a pocket or anything like that, but you can definitely pot shot him. You can look at Floyd Money Mayweather, how he would pot shot guys, especially early on and about with a guy. He would just pot shot him. Just do a quick straight to the abdomen. That's it, and then move out of there. Do it again. That's it. And just put some power shots in there. Josh Taylor doesn't like that. And again, that's another way to keep him at bay. That's also another way to create some flinches from him. So it serves more than one purpose. Taylor should use his size and muscle, Teo, like he did with Regis Prograis. So Josh Taylor's going to be huge against Teofimo Lopez, in which case, beat him up, batter him, rough him up, big brother him, smother him. Do with the old Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is somebody who understands his body makeup, and he understands how to use his body to work in his best favor. And his best favor is to smother guys, to not give him a whole lot of room. As big as Josh Taylor is, he can work with this much amount of room, and he can just maul you. And I think a guy like Teofimo Lopez, he can't do much with a guy like Josh Taylor. If he's in clinching and mauling space, he can't do a whole lot with him. Make Teofimo work. Taylor has a great work ethic and a solid output. Teofimo Lopez, I don't feel like he's going to be able to match the work ethic of Josh Taylor. Feints and things like that's working. But Josh is going to be like on top of you working. Like he's going to be punching. He's going to be cutting off the ring. He's going to be itching forward. He's going to be pushing you back on the ropes. He's going to make you work. Kind of like Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins, he makes guys work. Like, he's going to make them work. They're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to relax in this round. No, there's no relaxing. You get 3 minutes, and you're going to be working all 3 minutes. Josh Taylor is no different. Let's see. Taylor should beat up Teofimo. Teo is only good as long as he is winning. So let me flesh this out. I said Teofimo Lopez is only good as long as he is winning. And that's true. He's only good as long as he's winning. So I don't know if anybody's familiar with comic books and superheroes and all that, but there is a Marvel character by the name of Gladiator, and basically his power is he's a very strong guy, but his power depends mostly on the fact of his mental. Meaning, if he's winning the fight, then he'll remain strong. But if he starts to lose the fight, then he'll lose confidence and he'll lose energy or strength. Now, how does that correlate to Teofimo Lopez? He's the same way. Teofimo Lopez looks great when Teofimo Lopez is doing Teofimo Lopez and he's in his own flow state and he's making a mockery of his opponent and he's laughing and he's having fun. When Teofimo Lopez is not having fun, when Teofimo Lopez has not found his flow state, he's a very average guy. When he's not having fun, when he's not enjoying his time in the ring. In which case, Josh Taylor is definitely the type of guy who can make it uncomfortable, who can make it grueling, who can make it tiring, who can make it a hard and ugly fight. He can make the fight everything that he needs for Teofimo Lopez mentally to check out. That's what I mean by that. I also think Taylor should start to fight right away. Just jump right on top of him. You know, it's not like Teofimo has enough pop to put you out one punch. Josh Taylor is a tough dude. He has a solid chin. He's been down before, but he'll jump right back up. Very solid guy when it comes to, you know, his durability and his pain threshold. And I think he should run right across that ring. And I think he should start the fight right away. Set the tone right away. This is what you got 12 rounds to look forward to. Me in your face. Every minute of every single round. I think he should start it like that. Teofimo can win the fight, but it's all about his mental. Taylor fights in a way that tests the mental of fighters. Teo's last opponent wasn't a pressure guy, and in the end of the fight, Teo's like, he's literally still saying, do I still have it? Martin was not a pressure guy. Martin was a punch and move guy. And if you're saying that with a guy like Martin, you're going to have a real problem with Josh Taylor. You're going to have a real problem because that dude's going to be in your face. That dude's going to be pressing you. That dude's going to be cutting off the ring. That dude's going to be hitting you hard. That dude might be just lying on you and just ripping you with body shots. That dude's going to be there. He's going to be there. He's going to be an ever-present problem until that last bell rings in the 12th. I promise you. Or he puts you out. You choose. You choose your poison. Let's see. Imagine Taylor, who I look at it like this. Taylor's really big. And I said it earlier and I'll say it again. Josh Taylor could easily fight at 154 pounds right now. No problem. Like competitively. Teo's got a lot to deal with this fight. Again, yes, he's moved up. Does he still have he has pop. He has respectable pop at this weight. But do I think it's enough to keep Josh Taylor off of him? I don't know. I really don't know. Not to mention, Josh Taylor has a lot to prove in this fight. He has a whole lot to prove in this fight. And I'll tell you why. Because myself, and I'm sure many of you out there believe that Jack Catterall won that fight. In which case, Josh Taylor has to redeem himself. But unlike Teofimo Lopez, where he's having a pity party over himself, and even though he won the fight, he's saying, do I still have it? Josh Taylor's the type of guy that says, I'm going to prove in my next bout that I'm the guy. I'm the guy. I'm going to prove it. So whoever gets in there with me next is going to have a real problem. It's going to have a humongous problem on their hands because I have to redeem myself in the Catterall fight. Let's see. I just think, on paper, I feel like Teofimo Lopez has all the attributes and everything that he needs to win this fight. I really do. And I think he's fast enough to keep himself out of harm's way. I think he has good enough cat-like instincts to dodge anything major coming at his head. The issue is with him mentally. There was a lot going on with him in his last fight, you know, in his household with his wife. I don't know where they stand right now at this current moment, but I know it wasn't good the last time around, and I know that it affected him the last time around. And I know even though he won the fight, that's really what keeps playing in my mind. He won the fight with Martin, and he was the one who walked out the loser. And you're fighting a guy who doesn't care how he wins as long as he gets the nod. I just think it's too much to ask for, to be honest. So I'm going with Josh Taylor. I'm going with Josh Taylor for the win. I can see, and it's funny how I can see this going out. I can see a unanimous decision, but I could also see Teofimo's corner just waving a white flag. Because again, if Teo's not winning, it's hard for him to win. And I think Josh Taylor's style and his pressure, his aggression, his tenacity, and his overall grit might be a little too much for Teofimo Lopez, especially at this moment in time. And that is my fight breakdown. Please drop your thoughts down below. Please like, share, subscribe if you have not done so. And thank you again. Drop your thoughts down below. Again, I'd love to read what you have to say.